Hello and welcome to Cupcakes Comic Reviews. Today we have a very, very special guest all the way from across the pond, all the way in Aberdeen, Scotland. So please welcome, warmest welcome to Hannahri Williamson, who is one of the greatest cupcakes too, because she's part of the cupcake family. So welcome, welcome. And today we're here to talk about her new book, It's Probably Nothing, which is on Kickstarter. So we'll leave all the links in the descriptions below. But who is Hannah? Just a short introduction, if I may, Hannah. So Hannah is she's a artist, right? And she's done a couple of books before. So she's done the Metal Memories book, which is Metal Memories Story, which is part of the anthology, The Tales of from the Cloakroom, which is published by Scott Snyder and team. So so she's big time, she's hitting the big time. And they've also done Shadow Anthology. So Connor and her husband, Hannah and her Connor. There you go. So Hannah and her husband, Connor. So Connor is a writer, but he's also one of the cupcakes. Like he's one of our friends. And Hannah does the art on the what is it? The Shadow Anthology. If I'm getting it right. Okay. So Hannah, why don't you tell us a little bit about like It's Probably Nothing and what's it about and where did the idea come from?
Apollo City Comics approached me after Connor and I worked on Lose Yourself, which is a short story in their Shadow Anthology. I found out later that Shadow Anthology was actually curated by Kai Brown. Kai saw my artwork on Shadow, thought that we would work really well, and they approached me to do It's Probably Nothing. Um, so It's Probably Nothing is actually a YA story. It's based in Ann Arbor. It follows a character called Clover who's really into crime, the occult, podcasts, and she's got a link with a story that pops up in one of her podcasts that she listens to, and she travels to Ann Arbor to try and solve the mystery. And it's quite cool because there's lots of little bitties that I quite like, like tied
So
into the
when I
story.
first heard about the concept of this book, the first
Mhm.
thing that went through my mind, and that's also on my Instagram post, was Wednesday and Nancy Drew.
Yeah,
Would that be a
definitely.
right way to put it? Like it's a mixture of Wednesday and Nancy Drew. That's the kind of vibe we're looking for here.
Yeah, it's got Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the more recent show, kind of
Hmm.
feel to it. But if you took like the famous five or Nancy Drew and put them in that situation, but we don't know if it's a cult. We just have a character who's really interested in the occult, and there's a
Okay.
mystery going on in the story that she's trying to figure out.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So how did the idea of the book come to you guys, like Kai and yourself?
So from the conversations that I had with Kai, Kai actually lived in Ann Arbor for a really long time. I don't know if you've ever been to Ann Arbor, but do you know that they have the little ferry doors?
Yeah, yeah. I've seen them
So
in like videos and stuff, so sure.
yeah, so she saw these little ferry doors and that kind of stuck with her. And then I think around about Christmas time, Kai said that she started thinking about what would happen if she up and disappeared one day. What would be left behind? What would people find? It would it be these big grand pieces of information, or would it be fragments? And what kind of story would be put together from a person if you found small fragments of somebody's life? What misconceptions might you make about a person based on small pieces of the puzzle of your life? Um, so basically, what's happening is this character that we're following is doing just that, trying to puzzle together this mystery about this character called Jesse.
And is it like all readers young adult friendly, or would you more describe it like for mature readers, or what's the
It's definitely based a square in the YA genre. I don't think there's
okay?
anything about it that is inappropriate for children. However, when I was
Okay.
doing the artwork from it for it, sorry, I'm a teacher by trade, and I'm aware of
Mhm.
what young people are reading and watching, and I think there's a fine line between um, what's appropriate for them and what's challenging for them. And
Mhm.
I don't want to create content that condescends to young people.
Mhm.
I think that we are always surprised at the content kids are watching. They're watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They're watching Riverdale. They're watching Euphoria. They're
Mhm.
seeing content that they're playing violent video games. And I think if you try and pacify them or try and hide away those dirty, scary, awkward parts of humanity, they're not going to connect to it.
Hmm.
So I think the first issue is very young reader friendly. I think we're looking at probably like 13 years old and up, but I think that the way that the story is going to build and the way that the first issue is kind of created, I think that older readers will be able to go in and enjoy it and it won't feel like you're reading Captain Underpants. Love Captain Underpants, but that's not what we're going for with this book.
No, I understand. And the only reason I was asking is like, part of the thing is that, we are in that mid-generation level of comic book fans. And then you
Hmm.
want to inspire the younger generation so that they, take the torch and go ahead with it.
Hmm.
So, can I give it to my 13-year-old niece? I think that was the question. I think so that you can, comic books are for everyone, meant for everyone, right? The more the
Yeah.
merrier, as they say. So I can probably share this book with my 13-year-old niece. She would be completely fine with it. And she does watch Wednesday and Riverdale and all of these shows like Sabrina the Teenage
Yeah.
Witch. So
Yeah.
also, so yeah,
And
okay.
we support women's rights and women's wrongs here. And I think that what's great is that if she did pick up the story, not only would it be appropriate for her, but also she will be seeing a realistic character who's not doing things perfectly, that's not interacting with everybody perfectly, who has a little bit of trauma, a little bit of difficulties they're going through, and she'll be able to hopefully connect with the character more than just, hey, I'm really good at understanding mysteries and I'm going to solve this case. Like it's a bit more grounded than that.
So I know that you dabble with your characters and you give them like a lot of flavor. But if you had to like assign a genre to this book, would it be like a thriller or more like a YA, like a suspense kind of a thing? Or how would you define like if you had to classify it in like one particular genre?
Hmm, I think at the moment, thriller. I think
Okay.
as
Okay.
the series progresses, because there is four books, four issues in this story. I think as it progresses, it might start to lean more into occult and horror, but I would be hesitant to say that YA is a genre within and of itself. I think that's
Okay.
a bit
Okay.
reductive. Um,
Okay.
I think the same way that we find a broad range of genres within literature, you also get a
Hmm.
broad range of genres within comic book literature for kids. So I would say thriller, but I think it might eke into other bits as the issues go on.
Okay, so it's kind of like a mixed bag of a thriller, horror, suspense. Then they put like slashes on everything.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's thriller, it's
Hmm.
horror, it's comedy, it's everything. And I guess the
Hmm.
protagonists are right. Probably she's relatable to a lot of people, right? So because
Hmm.
she's just a girl who, as you said, like who's trying to find her journey into the world, right? So
Hmm.
generally when people draw like or like write stuff, they insert themselves like a little bit of themselves into the story, right? Do you feel that there is a little bit of Hannah's life that has been put into this particular book?
I think in this instance, it's not,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't the person who wrote it. What I
Mm-hmm.
found really interesting and my favorite part of this was trying to take Kai's vision and
Mm-hmm.
translate it and put it into the book. So I think the relationship I have with Connor and when I'm drawing his work is quite different to when I'm drawing for somebody that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like I'm close with Kai now, but when we first started, they were basically a stranger to me.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting to try and iron out what their intentions were and what their vision was for it. We had a lot of conversations though back and forth, and there was a lot of give and take with the character design. Little things like I didn't know that Ann Arbor was cold, so I drew the
Okay.
character with a light jacket and shorts. And Kai came back to me and was like, "Just so you know, thicker jacket, please." I was like, But then within the character, I think within the script, I think Kai did such a good job of letting me know what kind of person Clover was and what the background characters were that I was able to play around with the designs. Um, I had particular fun with one of the background characters that might or might not come forward later on, playing around with their hair because she is a person of color who plays sports. So I had a lot of fun trying to figure out the best way to, celebrate her beautiful hair, but still have a hairstyle that would be functional for somebody who plays sports on like daily,
Hmm.
but still can like tie it up and do some really cool stuff with it. So I did quite a lot of research for that character design specifically, more so than any of the others.
Okay. And just for the viewers to know, like, what comic is more similar you have read, like, to what you've done with It's Probably Nothing?
Tonally and
Tonally.
based on the main character, I would say Anya's Ghost.
Okay. Okay. So Annie's
Mhm.
Ghost. So okay. So people check out Annie's Ghost and then check out It's Probably Nothing, right? So you've got a double whammy then. You've got a double bill, It's like going to the
Mhm.
movies and watching like Dune and Avengers together.
Anya's Ghost, I can't help myself. It's one of my favorite comics. It was one of the first comics that I bought with my own money when I was younger. It was one of the first comics that I kind of did a bit of research for. So I suppose it's probably influenced the way that I interpreted Clover a little
Hmm.
bit as well.
Hmm. So okay, fair enough. So how long did it take you to like finish the whole thing, like drawing the book basically?
So, I wish that I checked my Procreate time before we had this conversation because I would have been able to tell you it right down to the minutes if I'd had done that. But
Hmm.
it took me about a year because I was working. I work full time. Like most independent content creators, I work full
Absolutely.
time as a teacher. So I was doing weekends, holidays, afternoons, lunch breaks, sitting with my coffee, trying to get things done.
Hmm.
Um, and then we had the process of going back and forth. So I did the thumbnails and the initial sketches. I got feedback from Apollo. A couple things needed to be changed, and then we developed it further. But actually, we ended up changing the order that we were creating the content in because we decided to take the last couple pages from It's Probably Nothing, and it's featured in It's a Horror Story that's also produced through um, Apollo City Comics. However, after
Hmm.
we did the Kickstarter and we did the anthology for that, I ended up redrawing the last four pages um, to change the ending slightly. So even if you have read It's a Horror Story and seen the last four pages of the issue, it's actually the story. It's actually changed for the issue as part of the
Okay.
Kickstarter.
Okay. And how would you define like your main protagonist? Like, where is she in life, right? What is she doing? What is she looking for? Like, can you talk a little bit about your main protagonist, maybe?
Yeah, Clover is lost. She's forgotten about.
Mm-hmm.
She is, I think she's living vicariously through the stories that she is interested in. She has her own podcast, she's got her own website, she does all of these gumshoe researches, but I honestly think it's because she feels that her life is so uninteresting. There's nothing extraordinary about her life, and she wishes there was.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe if her life was more interesting, or if she, I think subconsciously, if she was more interesting, people would pay attention to her more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Does she have like a group of friends around her to support her, or parents or something, or no?
so I think I don't want to spoil it too much because it's a little bit of part of the story, but just
Mm-hmm.
to kind of give you a little bit, she's very close friends with this family who the mystery is actually connected to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she works with the siblings from this family to get to Ann Arbor to then be able to explore the story. And she idolizes a couple podcasters from the podcast that she listens to, which is called It's Probably Nothing, which is the title of the story. It's actually quite cool. The Apollo has actually produced the podcast that Clover listens to in the comic book. They've actually created audio podcasts that you can listen to, and
Oh,
little
that's
clippets of
nice.
that have been coming out. So when you read the issue, you can actually stick the podcasts on during the pages where you're listening, that where we see Clover listening to it, and you'll be able to actually hear what she hears.
Oh, that's an amazing. Is there like a QR code or something, or how does that
So
work? Yeah.
They're on at the moment Instagram as part of Reels, and they're on YouTube. But I know that
Okay.
once the Kickstarter has ended, they'll take the podcast and place it somewhere that's easy for people to access whilst they're reading the issue. I have
Okay.
a feeling.
That's an
Mhm,
interesting concept. Like, you can hear, but you read, like, usually it's a
mhm,
visual medium, but then there is an audio component to it also. I think that kind of like
mhm.
makes it unique. Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's a really important part of Clover's personality and identity. So I'm glad that we're able to kind of communicate that to the reader, because it's she basically lives vicariously through this podcast.
Okay.
So, mhm.
Oh, and so do you, I'm obviously assuming that you are also a podcast listener. So what are your favorite podcasts? Like that was a segue. Probably.
If I'm talking about crime podcasts,
Yeah.
Rotten Mango is excellent. I
Mhm.
love how tongue in cheek she is with them, and it's like you're sitting down chatting with friends and like having a glass of wine and getting a little bit. Hey, did you hear this story? I love that
Mhm.
format.
Mhm.
There, what's her name? She does the Makeup and Murder series as well. They're really good. They're better as video podcasts though, because you get to see her do her beautiful makeup as well.
Okay.
Um, so those two are really good podcasts for if you're looking for a crime thriller type
And,
story.
and and is Clover's podcast also like a crime thriller podcast? Because okay.
It's
So
like a cold case. They listen and look at crimes, look at cold cases, try and solve murders. I think the two that I listen to are more looking back at creepy murders that happened and how it got to that stage, whereas the IPN is they are trying to solve the murder through their podcasts and their research, which is quite interesting.
okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So, and you said that you worked with Kai on this book, right? And so,
Hmm.
are you now an Ann Arbor expert? Because how does that creative process work? Like, I have never been to Ann Arbor, like, but I know you described it to me. So, I have a little bit of an idea that it's cold out there. There's obviously like a harbor front out there, probably like boats and stuff. This is how I imagine.
Hmm.
But how is it for you as an artist who's never been to a place? Kind of like, did you do like a lot of Google searches and images and stuff, or did you like look at videos? What is the creative process for that?
I think like all artists, if you're creating somewhere that's a fantasy area, you can kind of cobble things together and people will accept that. When you're
Hmm.
drawing a place that's real that people have visited or live in, there's always that little danger of like, oh, but that doesn't look like that. Why have they made that look like that? So it was a bit scary. I did a lot of reading and research, and I did look at the Google Maps, and like I did like a street view walks of parts of Ann Arbor just to kind of help me out. However, I was very lucky because Kai had lived there for a long time, and a lot of the
Okay.
areas that Kai had included in the story were actually
Hmm.
places based on places that she had visited or frequented whilst living in Ann Arbor. So she
Hmm.
was able to, although the places that are in the story have been renamed, they are
Hmm.
actually based on actual buildings and things that exist. So she was able to send me photographs that she'd taken, but also she was able to send me links to the places that still existed so I could go and look at them. So like for example, there's a coffee shop in the story that
Hmm.
unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but I was able to go looking in photos that she sent. Whereas there's I think it's called the Michigan Theater. I think that's what
Hmm.
she called it in the comic, and I think that's what it's called in Ann Arbor as well. I was able to actually go in and look at their stuff and get as much references as possible. I'm so sorry if you live in Ann Arbor and I made it look rubbish, but I did my best.
I
We
doubt
we're
that. I doubt that.
we picked a slightly end of summer into autumn season, so it's not super rainy and dreary, but it's that time where you think it's going to be warm and then it's not.
And what was your favorite thing to draw about this book? Like, is it more of the characters or the landscapes or like the architecture? And what was your favorite, like, where did you have like the most fun? Like, oh, this is cool.
So there is a concept in the book because the car I don't want to spoil things too much, but there
Okay.
is a concept of ghost words woven throughout the story, and it's how the issue is broken up into sections.
Okay.
Um, and spoilery. There's
Don't just focus on the don't focus on the spoilery bit. Just focus on like, did you like the landscape drawing more or the character drawing more? Maybe just
there's
pick
a
one.
there's an element of the story where I
Hmm.
got to play around with Art Nouveau aesthetics, and I played
Wow.
around with the
Okay.
paneling and layout so that it
Uh-huh.
wasn't a traditional paneling, nor was it traditional comic coloring.
Uh-huh.
And I really enjoyed that. There's a couple. Um, you could argue they're full page spreads, but what I've done is I've broken the story up into paneling in a way where it's not as traditional, it's not as boxy, because it's what the story requires. There's a some sort of
Hmm.
break from the normal pacing of the story, and I got to have some fun, and I really enjoyed those panels.
Okay. All right. So yeah, okay, fair enough. So more the overall aesthetic and the avant-garde style that you mentioned. So
Mm.
okay, can readers expect something different than your previous style, like with the metal memories and stuff, or does the
I
art
think
change?
I think I think my style has changed a little bit.
Okay.
It's still got the tonal work that I did with Metal Memories. I think that's really quite important. I like the way that Metal Memories felt very textural and natural. I think it's probably nothing still follows that style, but I think it's just been I've learned a little bit more. I think
Hmm.
also because of the story being a little bit more realistic, as in it's
Hmm.
humans, not robots, it's a real place, it's not a fantasy landscape. I think
Hmm.
that the coloring is, I'm going to use the word more natural here, but it's not necessarily. Where I think Metal Memories, my coloring was very saturated and
Hmm.
borderline poppy and psychedelic, whereas IPN is a little bit more. I still have that vivid coloring style that I had in Metal Memories, but it's maybe just a little bit calmer to make it a bit more grounded.
Okay, fair enough. That sounds good. That sounds awesome, by the way. So I think because you need to change your art style, right? I guess depending on the genre and the mood and everything. So I agree. So I guess, so yeah, curious to check out the art. Is the art available somewhere for us to like see like on Instagram or your Instagram page or something?
Yeah. So I've been sharing clippets of things on Instagram. I've been sharing clippets of things on Blue Sky.
Okay.
Apollo City Comics has also got stuff on its social media. You can see tiny bits of the art on the Kickstarter. But
Hmm.
if you want to get a little bit of an insight into things, my Instagram is probably the best place to see it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So we'll leave a link of that, along with your Blue Sky and everything, so that people can
mhm,
actually go and check out the art. And because that's what excites you. It's a visual medium, like I said, right? So
mhm,
you see like you see like an X-Men Colossus or something punching down, and you're like, oh, I want this, I need this. So that's how it works,
mhm.
unfortunately.
And if you really wanted to get like a little teaser of what it will look like, if you get a copy of It's a Horror Story on
Okay.
Apollo's website,
Okay.
there's 4 pages from the comic in there, and then there's some really great artists on there. There's some really cool stories that, like I think it's definitely an anthology that's worth it for if you're really into the horror genre.
But this is not an anthology. It's how many issues? It's like for this one, for It's Probably Nothing.
So it's probably nothing is an issue one. It's
Okay.
20. I think we ended up on 28 pages because we
Okay.
I asked if we could add 1 or 2 pages in this process of the story to let some bits breathe, and
Hmm.
thank
Hmm.
goodness Kai was very accommodating and allowed me to do that. Um,
Okay.
but there'll be the second issue. The art has already started. We're halfway, not halfway through. We're halfway through the initial part. I'm planning the character designs, the background designs, the thumbnailing and things for issue two. And hopefully issue two will be ready at the start of next year.
Okay. And
So
has Kai given you like an arc of like how they want it to be planned, like,
mhm.
to the end? Okay. So you have the
all
entire
of
full story.
all of the first issues, the scripts are written. All
Okay.
of the characters are designed for the whole story. Um, there's thumbnails and initial drawings for issue two already started. Issue three and four, the covers for one, two, three, and four have also already been roughly planned out and are almost finished because we're doing something a little bit fun with the main cover of each issue.
Okay, that's good to know. So yeah, I
Hmm.
think we've spoken now enough about the book. So I want to do some random questions so that people can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
this is our like it's not rapid fire exactly. You can take your time, but
Hmm.
some just wonky dumb questions, from our end, so
Hmm.
that our viewers can probably get to know your team bit better than So yeah, so if you had to define this book like in 3 words, what would they be? It's probably nothing.
Um, it would be mysterious.
Okay.
Um, a little bit, a little bit s- sad. I think
Okay.
if you catch little hints of things, it would be sad
Mhm.
and playful, which I know sounds like a
Okay.
contradiction, but yeah.
So just based on the cover image I have seen and the art I have seen, like, is melancholic the right word? Probably.
Yes,
Okay, there you
melancholic
go.
is a much better word. Thank
There you go.
you.
So I didn't want to like, step into your train of thought, but okay,
Love that.
throwing my stuff out there. So there you go. So if you had to compare this book with one item of food, what would it be? It's probably
Hmm.
enough. You got to say cupcakes.
Actually, I'm gonna say coffee.
Okay, okay.
Coffee, because there's a couple
Okay.
bits where coffee's referenced in the story, so actually it works quite well.
Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Coffee person. I like tea, and I know
Uh-huh.
I'm a British person, so this sounds really bad, but I don't like
Okay.
normal breakfast tea. It tastes like dishwater to me.
Well, it is what it is. So last time we spoke, I showed you like this a bunch of like these this whole book of tea bags.
Hmm.
So if you had to pick one of these, which would it be? So you've got a Chinese tea here, you've got basically French tea, you've got like an Indian chai, and you've got like an English breakfast tea. So which one? What would be your pick?
The chai.
The
I
chai?
love a nice
Okay.
chai. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find a good homemade chai recipe at the moment, and it's I would give that one a go.
Okay. So there you go. Chai wins. You know.
It's very
Uh,
Halloweeny for me.
it's very okay. That makes sense. So yeah, are you okay? If you had to pick a genre between, let's say, romance and sword and sorcery, what would you go for?
What, choose between romance and sword and sorcery or any
Yeah,
genre?
or between romance and sword and sorcery.
Sword and sorcery.
Okay, there you go.
Connor's
So
the romantic one. I don't actually like rom-com movies. We have an ongoing joke that the only rom-com movies I seem to laugh at are Adam Sandler movies.
okay, that works. Do you have like a favorite quote from this book or like a favorite panel or something from this book without
From
spoiling anything? From
my
It's
book.
Probably Nothing? Yeah, from It's Probably Nothing.
So there's the the final page. The final page I'm very proud of, but there's a
Okay.
panel that I shared on Instagram very recently of two characters interacting with each other, and
Okay.
I really enjoy the character design of the girl with the unnatural pastel hair. I love her facial expression. I was quite proud of that one.
Okay.
Plus, she's cute. I think she's cute. She's not in the story at all, but I might just start putting her in the background panels of things because I really like her design.
So if there was like a character that you could like make come alive like in real life, from It's Probably Nothing, who would they be?
Uh, I, I one of there's one background character that I'm not going to mention because it's spoilers, but I think that I like how um
So they would be fun to hang out in real life,
I
probably.
think they would kick my butt in a conversation and they would definitely be like, yeah, no, that's
Cool.
wrong and this is right and this is why. But also they're the sort of person that would have your back, and if you got things wrong, they'd be like, you messed that up. Let's go fix it. They would be there in the unicorn costume with the shovel, being like, right, where do we put the body?
Oh, that's cool. So I'm curious, like, to find out who that character is now. So okay, cool. So okay, so then Okay, so we've like talked a little bit about the book, but let's talk about like general comics in general now. So what
Hmm.
is the one comic that you read recently that made you feel alive or excited for the genre?
Um, um,
And it
you
could be
know
an
that
indie title,
question.
it could be a Marvel DC, it could be a Star Wars manga. I'm not putting words into your mouth, but maybe that.
No, you
So
know when somebody asks you a question and you're like, "Oh no." Um, I think there was it's the Virtuous Cycle. It's a Poison Ivy book. It's G.
mhm.
Willow Wilson wrote it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The art in that is
It's
absolutely
stellar.
stunning.
I
The
can imagine.
coloring is beautiful. I love how vivid everything looks, even though the whole book, it feels like autumn leaves. It's got this beautiful warm coloring to it and the textures and just and I love an angry woman. So it's brilliant. So I've read the first hardback issue of that, like volume of
Uh-huh.
that, but I want to keep reading it. So that one
I think it.
probably.
I think we discussed this. I think it's pushing now 50 issues. It's been like a banger. It's really good. Like in terms of art, in terms of the storytelling, in terms of there are some really like funny characters there. Like Janet the HR. She
Mm.
always is. She's exciting. She's bubbly. She's full of life. So yeah, indeed. So
Mm.
cool. And then so on the subject of like Poison Ivy. So who's your most favorite female character of all time?
Oh, I'm so basic. So okay. I have to say not Poison Ivy. I have to say Harley Quinn because
Okay.
I've really enjoyed reading her journey coming away from Joker. The thing is, right, is she hasn't actually spent a huge amount of time with Joker. She's always tied up in her relationship with Joker. But actually, if you look at the original, oh, I'm nerding out, sorry. If you look at the original animated show that she was in, she
Hmm.
spends more time with Poison Ivy in that show than she ever does with the Joker. And
Hmm.
when you read the comics, it's one of the reasons that I really love the Three Jokers and the Joker War is because it kind of, I know it's controversial, not everybody likes this kind of explanation of the Joker, but I really like that there's different versions of the Joker. There's the psychopath, there's the spoilers, but there's different versions of the Joker, and you can tell that Harley fell in love with one of the Jokers and she didn't fall in love with the other ones, and she's being like taken advantage of or not looked after by the others. And I love watching her realization of that, and then her
Hmm.
time in Amanda Connor and Jimmy
Palmiotti.
Palmiotti, thank yous. Three omnibuses in that, and then
Hmm.
seeing her in Fear State and in the Joker Wars, and seeing how she not only has gone from this guy is abusing me, it's an abuse story, to
Hmm.
now taking ownership of her life and being herself and trying to do the right thing and look after the people around her and looking after the people that she's realized that she needs to put the energy into. So, like, it's very basic, but I love that character. And I love Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel.
Yeah, yeah. G. Willow Wilson, also done by G. Willow Wilson, right?
Yes.
There you go. Coincidentally,
Coincidentally,
yeah.
um, the artwork for that, but I loved it's almost like it's a different because she's a different age, she's younger, you're seeing her coming into being inhuman and all of this stuff. I really loved the artwork on that one. I thought that her character was really nice. I think it was Ian Herring that did the art for that one.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I didn't realize at the time, but I think it took it. I've taken a lot of inspiration from his artwork since then, without realizing it. Somebody looked at the artwork for it recently and was like, "Oh, Hannah, I get this. Kind of looks like a really like a, like your art." And I'm like, "Oh, it does actually." Oops, because it was one of the first issues that I actually started collecting myself before I started when I first started reading comics.
So there
So
you go. Harley Quinn is basically number one for here, like she's winning. And some of us like the Joker, though. I know Poison Ivy is cool, but some of us like also like the Joker. So we've got like pictures of the Joker hanging on our walls.
I do love the Joker. That's why I read Joker Wars. I love the idea of it being different version, like the Killing Joke version of him is different to the. I love that concept, and I really wish there was like more of that. But my girl Harley, gotta love her.
Have
She
you have
makes
you
me
seen
laugh.
the animated show?
Which one?
The Kaylee Cuoco one, the Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory. It is hilarious. It is amazing.
It's so good. It's so
Absolutely.
good. Love
Like
that
it'll give you
show.
like even if you're not like a DC fan or any fan, it'll give you a chuckle. It'll put a chuckle on your face because the way they treat the characters and it's just a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's got like 3 seasons or something, and it's brilliant. So
It's
yeah, I
so
guess
funny.
yep. And I think that kind of rejuvenated a lot of interest in Harley Quinn for a lot of people.
And I'm
So
really interested to see what the Absolute Batman does with Harley Quinn. I'm really behind. So I've only read the first three issues of the new Absolute Batman.
mhm.
Absolute Batman? Absolute
Yeah,
Batman.
absolutely.
But I've
Yeah.
seen Poison Ivy's design and I've seen Harley's design, and I'm like, and
So
I've
you'll
realized
get
it's
there. You're gonna get there. I don't want to spoil anything for you. I've read everything, obviously. So, but yeah, you're gonna be surprised. So it's gonna give you like a pleasant surprise. So there you go.
I'm at the point where any version of both of those characters, so long as they're being like genuine, well-rounded, like interesting characters, not too like three-dimensional people. You give me them, I don't mind. They can be villains, they could be creatures, they could be, and I don't care. I love them. Sorry.
Okay. So this rapid fire went into like a Harley this thing. So
Sorry.
uh, okay, I think this is a good point to probably end this. So again, so it's probably nothing. It's on Kickstarter now, issue one. So
Mhm.
please go. I think the Kickstarter, we've already hit the goal, right? We're always very close, 90% to the hitting the goal.
We are something like, last time I checked, it was something like £40 away from our goal. If I look, we've
Mhm.
got just about £30 left to get our target.
Okay, there you go.
So
30
we're
pounds, guys.
so
It's not a,
close.
it must not much. We're so close. Please help out Hannah. Please help out
Hmm.
the indie comic book genre in general. Please help Apollo City. Please help Kai. Please help everybody involved in this book. And you know what? Yeah, it's a good book too. So there you go. It goes. And then check out Hannah's other stuff, like I mentioned. So Metal
Hmm.
Memories is one of the stories which is part of that Tales of the Cloakroom. And that's a really good anthology. I think there are 2 volumes to it, if I'm not wrong, for Metal
There,
for Tales from the
yeah.
Cloak. Yeah.
So Tales from the Cloakroom Volume 1, we're in Tales of the Cloakroom Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a story with Connor in the Shadow Anthology from Apollo, which is called Lose Yourself. We've
Mm-hmm.
got It's Probably Nothing, and coming out at the end of the year, the issue is drawn, it's all done. We've also got Delivering Fate to Save Our Forever, which Connor has written and I've done all the artwork for. And we're getting to publish it through Apollo, so you're going to be seeing another Kickstarter from me in a couple months.
There you go. So many projects. That's
Mm.
probably that's a good thing. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
involved in it, and now you're doing what you love. So, what more can we ask? For that
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. All right. So I really want to thank you for being here, Hannah. And it's you've been a breath of fresh air. So again, it's probably nothing. Please check out. I'll drop all the links below. I'll drop Hannah's socials as well, and then so you can check out the art and the Kickstarter link as well. And then yeah, please support indie creators. Please go to your local comic book store, and help everyone as much as you can. Right? I know DC Marvel give you sometimes the superhero genre is where we gravitate to, but there is a lot of stuff on the indie front also, which is like exciting. So, and look forward to, and hope, this interview helps you, discover a new indie creator. So, thanks everybody, and Cupcakes for Life. And, we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks, Anna, for being here. And it was lovely to have you. And we're going to have you again pretty soon, I hope, for the next one.
Hopefully.